Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday. It is the 3rd of June, 2021. I hope you're all COVID free. I hope you're healthy. I hope your needs are being met and your family's also safe. Blessings to those that work in the healthcare field. Men and women trying to save lives, even sometimes at the expense of their own. Also blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean. And those that make deliveries, unsung heroes that make deliveries, make our lives more convenient. Double blessings on those trying to deliver boys and girls, children, babies, teenagers, men and women from the clutches of sex slave operations and human trafficking. Curses upon those that support these industries. Finally, blessings on the homeless, those that are helping the homeless also. 500,000 men, women, and children, families, veterans living in the streets of the United States of America and millions around the world. Blessings to those that are helping, double blessings upon them. There was a basketball game last night. As it turns out, it's the last game of the season for our New York Knicks. Before we go into the season, I'd like to talk about the game itself. The Knicks were down 3-1 going into the game in Madison Square Garden. And it's very rare that a team comes back from a 3-1 deficit. The Atlanta Hawks, we have to give them credit. We had said earlier, as soon as they fired, I forgot the coach's name they fired, but when they put Nate McMillan in, I have been telling y'all from the time they did it, the Hawks were going to be a different team. I didn't expect them to be this good, but Nate McMillan, every place he goes, it's like Tom Thibodeau. His teams play defense. They play defense hard. They rebound. They do well. But you gave him, not only did he have those attributes that he put into the Atlanta Hawks, but he already had a group of very high-level shooters to work with. And so you combine that, and you got what you got. The problem on the Knicks side last night was twofold. Number one, it showed to me how badly we miss Mitchell Robinson. Nerlens Noel, I feel, must have been bothered by his ankle. Because on several occasions last night, the Hawk front line guys, particularly John Collins, as well as Clint Capella, as well as Okongwu, got loose for dunks and easy baskets because Nerlens was not getting back quick enough to recover after double teaming on the perimeter as he normally would. He normally would get back quick enough, but he wasn't last night. And that also is where we would miss a Mitchell Robinson, who covers that ground even better than Nerlens Noel does. And so a healthy Mitchell Robinson is going to be big for us next year. That's number one. And Julius Randle contributed to that defensive lapse because he also was missing assignments and not getting back quick enough. He was really playing this series like the Julius Randle of 2019-2020, not the Julius Randle that's the most improved player. And that's because he has never been in this playoff atmosphere. He actually, and what I've noticed about him is that Julius obviously is a very talented player. I'm not downing at his talent. Some of y'all talking about trading him. I don't even want to discuss that. Some of you guys ain't got no sense at all. This ain't NBA 2K. You're talking about doing human beings and real people on a real team. So, no, we're not trading Julius Randle. But what he does, aside from his enormous talent, is he lets things get in his head. Last night, there were several instances, I couldn't even count how many, where he would either have like a Trae Young on him or somebody that he could take. And he would actually make a move to the basket and had already premeditated that he was going to kick it out when he could have actually scored a basket. Because they were in his head. Clint Capella was in his head, especially. And so, over the summer, he has got to, of course, work on, which I'm sure he is, getting rid of that ball fast. He reverted to dribbling. He had 8 turnovers last night, which is another thing that killed us. Julius Randle had 8 turnovers. And many of them were dribbling into traffic, dancing with the ball, being lazy with the ball with a high dribble and getting the ball stripped. And so he was not doing that all season. He was doing it last year. But he reverted to that because they got in his head. I know that the mental game is what he's going to be working on this year. Understanding that, looking at the film, This is the reason I think why that happened. Last year, he admitted, and this is publicly information that he said, that he let his contract get in his head and that he thought he had to be the man. And he was forcing things because he thought he had to be the man. This year, he let the game come to him. He became more well-rounded. He trusted his teammates more. But when the playoffs came, he reverted to thinking that he had to be the man. And he was forcing stuff. And it was getting in his head. It was getting to him. He was out of rhythm. The whole thing. The Hawks did the job. You got to give them credit. They got in Julius Randle's head. And it cost us the series because he's our best player. Okay. So over the course of the summer, he, like he did last year, obviously going to work on his body. He's going to be coming back in shape like he did this past season. I expect that. I expect him to work on the mental aspects of the game. I expect him to learn to stop dribbling so much from his position. Okay. And when he makes a move like he did only a couple of times last night, make the move quick and decisive. Don't hold the basketball. Tom Thibodeau was going crazy on the sideline. He does not like to break in on his players in these situations like that, especially his star. But I know he's going to get into him about that. He has got to make a move decisively within a second or two of getting the basketball. He cannot sit there, hold it, dribble around, do all of these moves. They're going to kill him in the playoffs like they did last night. So it was a lack of movement defensively, especially from our 5 position and our 4 position, that cost us. But the number one thing that cost us last night, to me, was the lack of the ability to keep Trae Young out of the key. Trae Young seemed to get in the key almost at will. I had said, and many of us in Knick Nation had said, we should have had Frank Ntilikina on him because he was not going to do that against Frank Ntilikina. But I also recognize, as we in Knick Nation recognize, who our coach is. He didn't trust Frank. Now, I want to say this. If the Knicks do not trade Frank Ntilikina, they got to do something because he's going to walk away for nothing and he was a lottery pick. They'd be stupid, and I don't think Leon Rose is stupid by any stretch. They're going to either include him in a trade or Tibbs is going to work with him. I don't believe Tibbs has given up on Frank, but now that he knows him, I think he's going to work closely with him. And you'll see an expanded role for Frank next year. I believe that if he's on the Knicks, he'll get an expanded role. It'll be a guarantee. Or he won't be on the team. Okay? He won't be like this next year. Because if you had him on Trae Young, and that's why I said people were laughing. Some of y'all just don't know basketball. The key to last night's loss and all of our losses was Trae Young getting in the key and killing us with floaters. Last night, Trae Young had, what was his stat line last night? He had 36 points, 9 assists. Because he was getting in the key. He was only 3 of 11 from 3. It wasn't like he killed us from outside. He was getting inside. You need to have somebody on him that's going to stop that. If you had Frank on him and you had Reggie Bullock shadowing, you could have prevented that. But he got into the key at will. This whole series. Okay? And that included last night. So those 2 things hurt us. The lack of Mitch, because of what he would have did defensively. Because Nerlens was hurt. Not that Nerlens could play some defense. We know that. In fact, I think he should be considered in one of the all-defensive teams. But Mitchell Robinson's better. Just telling you. And then to have a Nerlens backing that up would be terrific. The only 2 players that came to play last night, really and truly, were the 2 old vets, Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose. They're the ones that acted like they really wanted it. And Rose did not have a great game, 3 of 11, but his heart was there. He had 5 assists. Taj did not, you look at the stat line, Taj didn't have a big stat line, but he had 10 boards and 4 on the offensive end. These guys came to play last night. They know what was up. They understood they were in the playoff. The rest of the Knicks were just learning. RJ, he did all right for a 20-year-old. I'm going to expect more from him as each year goes by. But like I said, by the time he's 22, he's going to be a problem. And we're going to be glad we have him. Okay? We still glad we have it. But he really is going to be a problem when he's 22 years old. Right now, he's 20. But we need another guy. I've been saying this. We don't need to trade Julius Randle. All y'all talking that, don't even come on my blog with that. Don't even. Because it's stupid. You don't trade Julius Randle. You develop him more. And you get somebody to play with him that's going to cause problems for the other team. Somebody that they got to pay attention to. I don't know who it is. I will tell you this. I'm going to tell you right now, the Dallas Mavericks are going to eliminate the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. Now, what does that mean for Kawhi Leonard? I don't know. But they're going to eliminate the Clippers in the first round. Okay? That's going to happen. So once that happens, is Kawhi available? I don't know. But if he is, we need him. We need him. Okay? Also, I'm telling you right now, we need to go get Kyle Lowry. We need to pay him 2 years, $50 million. Just give him the money. Let's go. As far as Julius, people arguing whether he should have a max contract. I would rather re-sign him now to 106 than wait till next year for 200. Now, I don't know what he's going to do. It's up to him. Because if he does wait till next year and he's all NBA and he's an all-star and he can sign for 200, we could wait till after we got everybody else on board and go over the cap to get him that money. Okay. Whether he's worth it or not, it's not a question of whether he's a top 10 player. It's a question of what is he worth to the New York Knicks. Is he going to be better next year? I think he's going to be. I think he's going to improve. I think this is the first year he was in this spotlight that he got to this level and he wasn't used to it. And it got in his head. If he can learn to play within himself in these situations, I think we're going to be fine. If you add a Kawhi Leonard or if you add a Kyle Lowry to a Julius Randle with an RJ Barrett and a Mitchell Robinson, now you got something. You got something. Okay? And for those of you talking about Tom Thibodeau got out coach, y'all need to shut up. Y'all ain't NBA coaches. Y'all ain't been in 20 years in the NBA sideline like him. All of a sudden you know more than him? Y'all need to stop. Nate McMillan had a game plan built around Trae Young. And defensively, he had a game plan. Tom Thibodeau had a game plan built around Julius Randle. Julius wasn't ready yet. He'll be ready next year. We weren't supposed to be here. This was a successful season. We weren't supposed to be here. We were supposed to be looking at the 8th seed. We were the 4th seed, y'all. Y'all need to chill. Some of y'all need to get off the Stephen A. Smith bandwagon, man, and get off the Max Kellerman and ESPN. Y'all need to stop that. We had a very successful season. We took 3 steps where we were supposed to take 1. And now we're in a position where if we can add a Kyle Lowry, or we possibly can add a Kawhi Leonard. And the good thing about what I just said is both of those players would at least consider us, which 2 years ago, you could not say that. Both of those players will be considering the New York Knicks. Whether they come here or not, I don't know. But they're going to consider New York. They're going to sit down with Leon Rose and talk. If they're available. If Zach LaVine does not sign an extension, he's in the final year of his contract. So if he doesn't sign an extension, Chicago might wait till the trade deadline, to make a move on him, to trade him. They're not going to let him go for nothing. And I'll guarantee you, if he's interested in leaving the Chicago organization, his reps are going to be discussing things with Leon Rose. That's going to happen because now we're in that position. So we can add 1 or 2 even impact players. They don't have to be like Kawhi obviously would be a prize. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. Okay. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. Kawhi would be, a tremendous get. But if we can get a Zach LaVine and a Kyle Lowry, which I think is possible, we're going to be rough next year. You add that to Julius Randle, you're going to have something. You're going to have some. You don't got to teach Kyle Lowry how to play Tom Thibodeau style defense. He already does that. Okay, he already does that. So, and then we're expecting further development of Emmanuel Quickley. Now, whether Emmanuel Quickley becomes a starter or not depends on Emmanuel Quickley. What do I mean by that? If he's going to be shoot first, then he's going to be a bench piece, like Lou Williams. Or Jamal Crawford. He's going to be a bench piece if he's a shoot first guy. If he decides to become, I can set you up and get assist guy, then he could be a starter. He could do it. He's got the talent. It depends on whether he wants to. We'll find out. Okay, we'll find out. We're going to further develop him. We're going to have Mitchell Robinson back. If they don't trade Frank, he's going to be in the rotation next year. But if they trade him, I hope they trade him to a Toronto or to a San Antonio or to a Miami or San Diego, Los Angeles Clippers, where they're going to utilize his gifts and give him the minutes he should be getting. Then, of course, you have people in Knicks Nation crying about how we shouldn't have traded him. But anyway, that's happened multiple times before. Everybody that we have traded that has become stars on other teams, like Zach Randolph, okay, like the guy that's now playing in where is he playing in Miami? We drafted him too. I forgot his name. Let me get this guy. We drafted this cat and then we traded him, and I think he's helping Miami right now. Trevor Ariza, a veteran that has a ring. We drafted him. Knicks were trading. Knicks fans, I remember, for him and Zach Randle, let's trade him. That was stupid. Okay, you're going to say the same thing about Frank if they trade him. But anyway, is what it is, right? So I'm very happy. I'm very much looking forward for the Knicks' future. I'm very excited for our future as an organization with the brain trust that we now have and going forward. I don't know who's going to be on the team in terms of our Kevin Knox's, Frank Ntilikina's. I don't know who's going to continue on the squad. I'm very sure that we will not have Elfrid Payton back. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know what the role will be for Obi Toppin. He played very well in the playoffs. He played very well. Of course, people are trying to claim that he played better than Julius Randle, but again, you don't know basketball, and you definitely don't know playoff basketball. They weren't keying on Obi Toppin. They were keying on Julius Randle. But it was a good environment for Obi to develop, and he played very well. And so, I think Obi's going to be a really good player if they could, find some minutes, get an expanded role for him. I don't know how they do it though. Some people have suggested him playing the three. I don't know if he can guard threes. If he could guard threes, then yes, I would say yes. Because he could definitely, he's got the athleticism offensively to overwhelm anybody. He's got that athletic ability. But can he guard threes? Is he quick enough? Can he move his hips enough to guard threes? If he can, then yeah, we got something. Because you could start him, Mitchell, and Julius with RJ and whoever the point guard. Let's call it Kyle Lowry. And yeah, you might have something. But you got to get some more minutes for Obi Toppin. You just got to get some more minutes for him because he's going to be good. He really is. He's going to be good. So I think he's going to be on that Michael Porter Jr. level. You see, Michael Porter Jr., how he's playing for Denver. I think Obi could do that for us. I really do. So he's got the same build, that length and athleticism. I think Obi could do that for us. So I'm excited about the future of the Knicks. Yes, we're disappointed we lost in the first round, but we weren't even supposed to be in the first round. We weren't even supposed to be here. So I'm glad it was a very successful season. Kudos to Tom Thibodeau, Kenny Payne, Johnny Bryan, and crew. Kudos to Leon Rose and the front office. They all did a tremendous job for our team this year. I'm very excited about what's going to happen next year. And I think we're going to be even better next year. I think Julius is going to come back better. I think Mitchell's going to come back hungry and better. Now, they got to have to make a decision about how they're going to sign him, how much they're going to sign him for. They need to lock him up though this season, this summer. They need to lock him up. I don't know if they're gonna lock up him and Julius. They need to. If they do, they need to make whatever moves they're gonna make first, because we have the draft, we have the bird rights to both of those guys, because we could go over the cap to sign them to whatever we think they're worth. But I think they should. If I could lock up Julius for 106 right now, I would do that. I would like to do that, but I don't know if Julius will take that. Okay, maybe he has an opt out clause after 3 years or something. But I would sign him for the 106. That saves us some money. Okay, and lock up Mitchell Robinson also. I think we can get Mitchell for 36 to 42 million. Over maybe over 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I think we could get him in that range. Yeah, and so it's been an interesting season. We had it, Nick Nation. We have to say we enjoyed this. Those of you that are just sourpuss, gonna be sourpuss regardless. I can't help you, but those of us that understand what happens, we were supposed to be a losing team. The Knicks won more than 40 games this year. Won 41 games in a 72 game season. They're good, man. So now let's see what happens over the summer. Let's see what happens going into next season. Let's see what happens in the draft. We got the draft coming up. Let's see how our Knicks, what we end up doing, whether they trade the picks for a stud like a Kawhi Leonard. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be interesting, though. Who's going to be traded? Who's going to remain? We're going to see. But it's going to be interesting, and I'm very excited. I think we're going to be better next year than we were this year. More of a threat, more seasoned, and ready to go. So it was a good season. What can I say? Shalom, Knicks Nation. Be safe out there. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. All I care about now is that Brooklyn gets beat. Let's just get out. As long as Brooklyn gets beat, I don't care what else happens. Shalom.